Did you really expect it to be easy? Did you really expect it all to come to you with no friction? Did you really expect to climb the mountain without ever running out of breath? See, I used to be like that a lot. I used to ask God, why can't everything just be a bit easier? Why doesn't my content go viral every time? Why do I have to feel like I have to train so much harder in the gym to make the same gains? Why do I have to work so hard at my relationships just to make them feel normal? And I used to talk to God and I used to ask, why can't it just all come easier? Do I have to suffer this much to get what I want? And I spent years asking that question. And it led me to the realization that the gap between our expectation and reality is actually where most of our suffering occurs. Now, what do I mean by that? That's not just nonsense. What I mean is that the reason we humans truly suffer is because we expected our life to be a certain way and it's not. And because we haven't met that expectation of what life quote unquote should be, then we are unhappy. We assume our current life state is less than our desired state. And therefore, relative to that, we should feel worse. And our brain works this way, our subconscious works this way, and then suddenly everything starts feeling worse. But I argue that suffering is an innate quality, and it's actually the backbone of human existence. There's a song by Daniel Caesar called Freudian, one of his best songs. I love that guy. Beautiful music. And it's a very interesting song because it's like an antidote to how media and art has become this like sort of rapid viewer retaining slop garbage, because it's a 9-minute song with at least like a minute and a half period in the middle of the song where it's just silence before the instrumental switch, and I just love that song. But anyways, in the second part he repeats this line: isn't it nice, human sacrifice? Obviously he sings it a lot better than I've just said it, but that just, ever since I first listened to that song, that just stuck with me. Isn't it nice, human sacrifice? You tell yourself when X happens, when something external changes in your life, then suddenly you'll start feeling better. There will be a random time in your life where everything magically starts falling into place, and then life is going to work out, and then you start living. But I don't think that's the case. I don't think there's a time where everything just works itself out. I don't think it's possible. Because I think every single desired outcome you have in your life wouldn't be worth it without the suffering. And I'm not just saying, struggle, grind, that's how you get to your success. But I mean that even when you get to that desired state, you're going to struggle no matter what. You think billionaires don't struggle. You think the most jacked athletes in the world don't struggle with their training. Everyone has these doubts mentally, and I think that's the curse of being human, is that we cannot just live simply with no suffering. And I'd argue we don't want to live simply without suffering. I played around with this idea a lot over the last couple months, that I don't want to start a religious debate because I'm all for religion, but I don't think the way we view heaven, at least the way I've studied the Christian version of heaven, is actually something that we would enjoy. Because I'd argue that a life without suffering isn't worth living. A life where you just get everything you want handed to you on a silver platter isn't worth living. And I believe we as humans, as I said, suffering is the backbone of the human existence, and nothing would be worth it if it wasn't for the hardships endured to get to that moment. Marcus Aurelius said that if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but rather your estimate of it. And that goes back to the title of the video and how I started it, that did you really expect it to be easy? And if so, why? What gave you the arrogance to assume that your path was meant to be the smooth one while everyone else has to struggle for it? And that's right, everyone else does have to struggle for it. No one you look up to got there with ease. And in fact, if they had got there with ease, they wouldn't be where they are, because the struggle is what made them who they are. And if you have the capability to rid yourself of this assumption that life is meant to be more, life is meant to be suffering free, life is meant to be easy and all sunshine and rainbows, I believe, at least from my own personal lived experience, that is when I was really able to actually start being happy. I realized that it was actually the days where my videos didn't go viral, where I felt like shit, where it was raining outside, where my bus was late, where someone said something rude to me. It was those moments, that moment of suffering, where I felt awkward at a social gathering, where my phone ran out of charge when I was outside. These little moments of suffering. That is what makes life worth living, because without suffering, there is no problem to solve. Without suffering, you are okay with where you are, and I think that's the most dangerous thing a human can experience. It's comfort. It's being okay and satisfied and in enough of a pleasurable state that you can stay where you are and not want to grow and not want to progress. See, it's only the suffering that's got you this far. It's only the suffering that will get you further. So why are you trying to avoid it? Why are you trying to run from it? There is not a single version of this life where you are not suffering. So embrace it. It's yours to own and yours to live through. I want to get to the conclusion of this video with a quote from Viktor Frankl, where he says, "In some way, suffering ceases to be suffering at the moment it finds a meaning." And I don't want to leave you on a sour note with this video by wishing suffering upon you. Of course, I'm not doing that. But I'm telling you to realize your suffering has its own purpose and you can give it meaning. As soon as you realize that the suffering is part of your mountain to climb, and the view would not be worth it if you had not had to climb that mountain, that's when you can truly start being quote unquote happy. If the window next to you right now transformed to show the most beautiful views in the world without you having to move an inch, that wouldn't feel nearly as satisfying as if you had to climb the mountain to walk through the forest yourself to see that view, right? This is the path. This is the life that you're waiting for. It's never going to be easier. You're just going to get stronger. And I want to end this video with the thought that what if it is supposed to be like this? What if you are meant to go through whatever pain it is you're feeling right now? What if you're meant to go through that pain and get stronger? What if that's the only way to get stronger? Are you then okay with it? The suffering never ends. It's going to keep being there. But you get to embrace it